I'm James, and this is Action and Adventure Tips, the place where you, the content creator, can come to create content and do it right so you don't get that dreaded one-star review. Today's topic, semi-automatic pistols. Now, I know I covered the differences between the semi-automatic pistol and the revolver in a previous video, but on this topic, or on today's discussion, I'm actually going to cover a little bit more about semi-automatics, how they operate, and the various parts associated with them. So, today, of course, we have my Glock 43. Nice little 9mm pistol. Is it loaded? Well, it's got ammunition in the magazine. Does it have anything inside the chamber? No, it does not. It's a nice empty chamber. Never carry it on an empty chamber. When you're writing your content, your protagonist or your antagonist should always have a round in the chamber. The reason being is that if you're going to use the firearm, you want to be able to use it immediately, not have to do this before being ready to shoot. Now, I know that some firearms instructors will say, oh, you should carry it with an empty chamber. In reality, gunfights are too short, literally within seconds. And a microsecond may seem like a very short time, but in a shootout, it's a very long time. Fortunately, I've never been in a shootout, so I've never had that experience. But anyhow, let us continue with the discussion. On the top, we have what is called the slide. That's this part right here. It slides back and forth. Ah, wow, it slides. So therefore, it is the slide. And you can actually see the barrel right here. Now, being this is a Glock, it's easy to take apart. Boop, nice safe direction. Inside the slide, you have several parts. In this case, you have what is called the recoil spring. And in the recoil spring is actually a little guide called a recoil spring guide, fancy name. And you also have the barrel, which is detachable. And inside the barrel are several grooves. I don't know if you can actually see it in there, but there's little spiral grooves, and what that does is it imparts a spin on the bullet as it exits the barrel, therefore giving it increased accuracy. I believe the first one that we knew about was the Minutemen with their little muskets that they used during the War of Revolution. And of course the mini ball that came along later created a much more accurate bullet. But that's a historical topic of discussion that we're not going to get into today. Alrighty. So to assemble it, you just simply drop the barrel in place, take the recoil spring guide, insert it into the proper spot, and put it down like that. So it's all ready to go back into place. But let's talk a little bit about the frame. This is the pistol frame. It composes the trigger, and in this case with the Glock, of course, you know now, the safety, the trigger guard, which surrounds the trigger so it doesn't accidentally get pulled back. For some reason, some people will cut these things off. That's just plain stupid. It takes away, one of the safety measures that are inherently designed in a firearm. But you know what? Stupid is as stupid does, as they say. And we've also got what we call the magazine well, which is this part right here. Now, when you insert the magazine into the magazine well, you can see that a cartridge sort of sticks up. And what will happen is when the slide comes back, it'll force the cartridge forward into the chamber. The chamber is that part of the firearm that actually holds the cartridge preparatory towards firing it. Now, to release the magazine, you have what is called a magazine release catch. This little button right here, just push it, and the magazine drops right out. Now, when you've got the magazine or to slide in place, you can hold it back with a simple little catch inside it. And on this Glock, that catch is this part right here, the magazine, what we call the slide lock lever. To release the slide, remember it's being held back because of the recoil spring, you just do that and it slides forward. And I'll show it to you from this angle, if I can. There you go. That's all it is. So now, taking a look at the top, what do you have? These two little protrusions. This is the rear sight, and this is the front sight. The way you actually aim it is you look down the slide, and you line up the front sight in that little gap between the two upright parts of the rear sight. And when you're actually focusing in on a target, you're really focusing in on a front sight, which should cover your target. So when you're writing about that, or you're trying to create a video game about it maybe, the front sight should be sharp and clear. Your target should be kind of fuzzy. I want you to think of a depth of field thing, where your eye is focused, how far you're focused, and how much is in focus beyond your point of focus. So that's it. Now, where is the chamber? The chamber is that little part right in there. That's where the actual cartridge goes into the barrel. So that's it for the Glock. Now, as we mentioned before, the Glock safety is actually in the trigger. It's not click on, click off. So don't ever make that mistake. You know, your guy is not going to click on or click off the Glock safety. Is just going to be on the actual trigger. That's not the case with other firearms. For example, this is an FN 5.7. Where's the safety? Oh, right here. So you just do that. If the safety is on, you can't pull the trigger back. Safety goes off, trigger comes back. Now, an interesting thing I forgot to mention about the slide is what we call the slide serrations. You'll notice that there are little ridges right here on the end. That's actually designed so that you can hold it firmly while you're actually pulling the slide back. Now, not many people actually do it like this. Actually, most people will do it like that. I don't know if you saw that. Let me try it again. Fast, rapid. Why? That's more of a combat type method. It's actually what I learned as a police officer, you know, when you have to do a rapid reload or something else like that. Now, this is the model 1911. Oh, the big heavy guy. This thing has a capacity of about 7 or 8 rounds, depending on the model type. Now, one thing where the 1911 differs from the Glock is the fact that it's a lot heavier because it's all metal, except for the grip itself right here. But you also have an interesting thing called an external hammer. Now, you'll notice that the Glock does not have that. Why? Because the Glock has an internal striker. This, on the other hand, has an external hammer with a firing pin inside it. The hammer will strike the firing pin. You can either pull the hammer back like this, and, oh, look, it's on safe. What happened? Well, because there's a little safety catch right here. This is what you think about when you're taking the safety off. To get that hammer to actually go forward, you have to release that safety. And I'm not going to slam the safety down on the firing pin without a cartridge in there. But that's what we're talking about when you're taking the safety off, between the safety on the 1911 and the safety on the 5.7. Now, the 1911 also has an additional safety, and that's actually built here into the rear. This is called the grip safety. So you can actually pull the safety back, but you can't fire it, and you'll notice that the safety is in the off position here, unless you actually put your finger on the grip and do it. So once again, I'm not going to slam the safety down on this. Okay, so next thing I've got lined up for you is the actual firing of a semi-automatic, because what I want to do is show you that when you fire it, the slide is going to lock back. You're not going to be able to go click, click, click like you think you do with the firing pin falling on an empty chamber, because that's not how it works. Okay, so we're out of the firing range, part of my property, and I'm going to fire off 2 rounds from my Glock just to show you what it sounds like and what it looks like in real life. Now, one thing that a lot of neophyte writers do when they write about somebody shooting is that the gun goes click, click, click as they're pulling the trigger after they fired, you know, the last round. It doesn't do that, and I'm going to show you. Oh, look, no click, just bang. This is what happens is the slide will lock back, and you drop the magazine and you insert a new one, and you either hit the slide release or you just rack it back. Actually hit the slide release. And that's it. No clicking at the end. It's just going to lock back. So when you write it, he fires the last round, the slide locked back. That's all you got to say. Okay, well, I hope you learned a lot today. If so, please hit that like button there, subscribe, and be sure to check out my blog, jamespeet.com. And if there's anything that you'd like to see happening as it relates to the wonderful world of action and adventure, put it in the comments below. I'm always glad to do a video for you. Stay safe out there.